Hey guys, as you can see, it works very well with 35 round drums and 25 round drums, but sometimes has a bit of a problem with the 18 round stick mag, and that's not because it falls out. That was me. What I want to show you here is that I think it's just some stick mags, when you fill them up with fresh darts, all the way to the top with 18 darts. As you can see here, that 18th dart is very hard to push in, and it's really being forced in there. There's a lot of friction. It takes kind of a bit of force to push it out, and sometimes that can be a problem with this kit. So here I'm just showing you that 17 darts works no problem. Now the problem occasionally with 18 darts is occasionally you just can't push the dart out, which you'll see in a second. Sometimes it takes one or two trigger pulls before it shoots out that 18th dart, and then it starts getting quicker again and shooting at the rate of fire that it should do. I think more used elite darts may not have this problem because they're just not as thick. Alright, let's crack it open and see how it works on the inside. First you have your micro switch, which I've just blue tacked in for the moment. That obviously leads with your wires over to a battery pack. I'm using 6 AAA batteries because that happens to just fit really nicely in the back end and provides the voltage I need. That then comes up to the big shebang. It all happens here. You may see it's a rack and pinion system, sort of like the Auto Strife kit, but I've done my own design. That's it working. I'll just give you a few more shots so you can see how it all works. This piece here holds the motor in the right configuration and just slots into the shell. And this piece here is just a little support for the main pushing arm when it comes out all the way, to make sure that it doesn't get pushed over to the side too much by the gear and hit the side of the clip. It wasn't completely necessary, but it was sort of necessary just to make sure everything ran smoothly. And it just makes sure that the pushing arm goes straight every time. Okay, so as you can see, there's quite a few pieces in this kit, and I realised that some mobbers just want to make their own kind of unique blaster. So I'm thinking of setting this in 2 versions. One where everything is soldered and it's completely ready to just put in if you don't want to do any work, or another version which would be cheaper, because I don't have to do as much work, as I just give you the 3D printed parts, and then you can find the other accessories that you want, because maybe you want to put on a LiPo battery pack or just anything else that gives you a bit of freedom. So here's everything that you're going to get in this kit. First is the piece that slots into the shell and holds the motor in place. Then you'll have the pushing arm to push the darts into the flywheels. Then you'll get the gear that links into that pushing arm to make it move. And then you'll get the supporting piece for the pushing arm, just to make sure that it always goes straight. Those are all the 3D printed parts. Then you'll get a 6 AAA battery holder, not with the batteries, sorry. You'll also get the motor, which is it's a small geared motor from a company, I think Polu or something, in the United States. The hardest thing about making this kit was making it small enough to fit inside the rear of the Rayven, and this is literally the only motor I could find that could do the job. You'll also get one micro switch to put behind your trigger and obviously everything will be wired up and soldered. Okay, I just wanted to explain a bit about these pieces because you may have seen a ledge here and it kind of part just sticking out here, which you don't need for just the normal function, but I've put these in case you guys want to modify this further or part of another project, because this basically allows you to put a micro switch on here to detect every time that this has come backwards. So my thought was that it goes like this, and then every time it comes forwards it just activates it like that. So I mean, I'm using these micro switches. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're pretty standard off Amazon. Sorry, there you go. So you could get these switches, or I just made it an open platform so that you could pretty much do what you like. I want to reiterate that you don't need this for cycle control, because just the way it works with this spring here, on the type of motor I'm using, whenever you let go of the trigger, this always comes into the back position. So that's not a problem. It's more, say, you could use this if you wanted to have an ammo counter and you needed to place a button somewhere for every time it fires, or you could connect it to an Arduino and use it to do, say, select fire control, 3-round burst, if you kind of have the know-how to do that. I'll be doing that in the future, but that's what that section is for. Okay, in this section of the video I just want to do a complete step-by-step guide of how you're going to install this kit, just so it's really clear for everyone. So if you don't feel like you need that, then you can skip over to the next part of the video. But anyways, I'm going to pretend this is for someone who's bought just the bare bones, just the 3D printed parts, because they want to do most of it themselves, because that way I cover everything. So unfortunately I've got rid of some of the some of the old parts in here, but when you crack it open, there'll be some locks, or a lock here, which you just have to remove, but keep the screw, and you'll have your old pusher piece here, which you take out by removing these screws here and this orange piece. Just set that aside. So basically the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your kind of pushing rod that you get in your kit, and just like the old one, underneath here is a little hole where this metal rod is going to go into. So we'll just pop that on. Right, that's in. Next we will put that back in here. Okay, just being a bit titsy. So screw this back in. There's no need to really screw it in super tight. Just make sure it's back in place snugly and that this thing can still move with no resistance, obviously, other than the spring. So then we're going to take this small piece here, and so I explained what this does, and these little teeth here are just so that you can align it, and it pops onto this thing here, just like that. Everything should be at right angles, and that just pops on there, and just put on, I would just say a dab of super glue to keep that in there. I haven't got any on me at the moment. I've just been I use blue tack all the time when I'm prototyping stuff, so that's why there's blue tack all over my shell. But that piece goes in there, very simple. Next we're going to take this piece here, which holds the motor in the right place. So if you have not got everything done for you kit, you're going to have to take your 2 wires which lead to wherever your power source is, and just pop them through the back of this piece here. Go, and then solder that onto your motor, which I will probably have links of where you can pick these up if you're doing it yourself. But through the magic of editing and blue tack, pretend this is soldered. Okay, so I just push the motor all the way in, so that the silver part's all the way in, but these kind of bronzy plates and gears just poke out like that. You shove it all the way in, and that'll work. Then you see these kind of shapes here are designed to go over some of these posts down here in the shell, and so it just goes in like that. Pretty simple, just slots on. So that's in there pretty securely. But I've still left this little platform here so that you can take your screw from the lock that used to be here, and you can just screw down this holding piece. Again, this is not meant to be super tight, just to keep it in there. It will stay in anyways once you close the shell. I just felt better having all my parts screwed down anyways. So that's in there now. This will be connected to your battery pack or whatever you decide to do, but if you get my full kit, that will come already connected to this pack here, which just slots in there so beautifully. And then again, I would actually just suggest just putting some blue tack on the bottom there just to hold it in place while you close the shell, but it doesn't really rattle around. And then you have your 2 wires leading. I put them over the top of the magwell here because I've got some thick wire underneath because I rewired the motors. So I just put it at the top. All the way, you just lay it down. Along here, it doesn't really matter where you put the wire. Your kit will obviously have the wire the correct length so that it just comes around. And then that leads to your micro switch, which you'll need to just place however you like to do it behind the trigger. Oh yeah, and so that will all be set. Just another note that obviously if you're doing this, you'll either have to cut the post off of the trigger that would link into this like mechanical, the original trigger system here, or you can just take this orange piece out. There's just a little screw there, whatever your preference is. And oh yeah, the last piece, sorry, I forgot about that. The gear, you can see it's not a circle, it's more like a D shaped hole, which corresponds to the motor here. Does not matter which way you put it on, just sort of pop it on there, put on a dab of super glue, and that'll keep it in place. And so as you can see, everything, once you've got it in, everything should line up. This should be right on top of here. This should be able to just push, and that's the installation.